So my name's Stacy Shelton. I think I've mostly met all of you. I work for the region doing communications, and General Assembly has been slightly challenging on the communication front. But we have done our best to find the information needed, albeit a little later than we had hoped, but we made it happen. And so we will have time. I'm going to present a little bit about how the technology piece is working for Assembly. Sherry's going to present a little bit about how to register, how to designate delegates on Alex if people still haven't done that. And then we'll close with asking questions. For the most part, I am telling you everything I know about General Assembly. So I'm going to write down all of the questions that you have and do my best to find someone who can help answer them and then get you those answers. So that is the plan for this evening. And I'm going to ask David if he'll open us in prayer.
Yeah, let's bow for prayer.
Thank you.
God, we thank you for this time that we gather together as servants of your church. I thank you for each person that's here and just the rich traditions and faith, and also within their own faith community, within their own church, and the rich meaning that that has as we enter into this meeting. God, we just thank you for this time that we can talk about coming together as a denomination and in this new way. Just be with us. Give us, your wisdom, your patience as we go into something new. Again, thank you for this gathering. Be with us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
There's three ways that we have to participate in assembly. One is that we can watch just on a phone, a tablet, or a laptop in our own homes on our own. Two is that we might be gathered at a church with one or two other people, two or three other people who are also delegates. And then the third is that we have these kind of larger hubs that are bringing multiple churches together. So I'm curious, who is planning to watch at home on their own? Sherry and Brian. Okay.
On
And
Friday.
then, and David?
On Friday, I'll be watching
Okay.
from home.
Okay. And then on Saturday, I mean, sorry. And then is anyone gathering with just your own congregation, just the delegates? Okay. And then Red Rock, y'all are doing the hub, right?
We
Okay.
hope.
You hope. Okay.
Yes.
Very good. That just tells me what information you all need, which is all the information. So that's great. And then the other piece that I'm wondering about is, are all of you registered currently? Okay. Some are, some aren't. I'll make sure that I share the link to register, and Joy, maybe you can share that with others in your congregation who might need it. And then do your congregations have 3 designated delegates already? Red Rock does. Centennial?
Centennial does, and
Okay.
then the View has one so far.
Okay. We have 2 at Medford, so we're still working on that too. And then, do you know, especially Red Rock, will there be people speaking other languages besides English when you gather?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to skip the part about closed captions in other languages because it's long, and but if that becomes an issue for anyone, send me a note and I can make sure you get the information you need about that. I guess also, well, just send me a note if you need anything about closed captions.
Okay.
So I'm going to start at the smallest part and then get bigger. So if you're at home watching on your own or with one other person, you have the easiest of all the work to do. They're going to email you a link um, after you've registered, but I registered a month ago. They're not emailing the links until right before like this week. We will probably get the links. Big Marker is the interface that they're using for the assembly, and it's web-based, so you don't need to download anything. You just will click the link, it'll open a tab in your browser, and you will go from there. And later I'll show you a few videos about that show what Big Marker looks like and kind of how to use that. But that's really all you need to do is get yourself on there and you're good to go. If you're watching in a church with just a couple, two or three, four people, you'll need probably a computer, a laptop. You can use a television, but that does make your life a little harder. So if you can be on a laptop or a computer, that is a good idea in that situation. And every person who's a voting delegate will need to have their own device. So all the delegates will need to be able to vote on their own cell phone or tablet. They only have to get on there for the voting time so they can watch everything. And then we only have two things that we're voting on at this assembly unless something changes during it. And so those two times they'll need to log on with the link that they've been sent and in order for them to be able to vote. So that means that all of the delegates have to be registered separately. Everyone should be registered separately, but if people just want to come for a worship service or just want to come and watch what happens at the business meeting, they don't necessarily need to register if, they're going to be in the same room with everyone.
What you just said about voting, does that just apply to folks who are watching on their own? Is there some
No,
other method?
that's for anyone who's a delegate needs to have their own device. If you're by yourself in your home watching, you have your own device right there. But if you're watching either in one of the hubs or in your own church, but with other people who are voting, each of you needs to have your own device in order to vote.
Ugh.
Mhm.
All
For
right.
instance, Stacy, if we have our delegates, but we also have retired clergy who are still upstanding, they'll need their own devices in order to vote.
Yes, and they will
Yes.
have needed to register themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Stacy, this is Dan.
Uh-huh.
So what you're saying is your device is your ballot.
Yep.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
And they send you, I'm not going to say that because I'm not sure it's true. Never mind. But your device is your ballot. That's true.
But you have to have registered.
You have to have registered, and so you have to have registered, which is $30, whether you pay it or the church pays it or however you guys have worked that out. And then in addition to that, you have to be listed in Alex, which Sherry's going to talk about, as a delegate for your congregation. So
Okay.
we'll go over that part a little bit later.
Stacey, I
Uh,
discovered today that I could register other people
oh,
and
through
pay
the
under one
region?
car. Uh, yeah, so I registered Sandra Vincent when I registered me. It gives you an option to add
To
someone,
add. Okay.
but it's the same payment, so beware of that.
Okay. So, like, if you wanted to register all of your voting delegates from your congregation and pay with a credit card, you can do that. Okay. That's
Absolutely.
helpful. Um, well, we'll move on. So the hubs, which will have multiple people, possibly, like multiple congregations. Um, if you're over like 4 people, and then you're probably going to use some kind of a television or a projector or something like that. If that is the system that you're using, you're actually going to have to set up 2 separate locations. One that's the output that the people are just watching the presentation on, and then a separate room that has a laptop or a computer that has a microphone and video attached if someone wants to speak to an issue. So this is particularly for the business session. That if someone wants to address the assembly, that has to be done from a different room if you're using a bigger system. Does that make sense? Because there's an echo that happens when you don't in those bigger systems. So if we were doing it this way, in Medford, I would have the screen and projector and possibly speakers set up in our fellowship hall for the event. And then I would have the office open with the assembly running in the office, muted for the most part until someone wanted to speak. And then when someone wanted to speak, I would take them to the office and let them know this is where we do that. They have given us no guidance at this point about what button you push to let someone know that you want to speak. But I'm assuming there will be one. So we're praying that
We,
that
we,
will
we
come
live in
together.
hope, Stacy. We live in
Yes,
hope.
exactly. So I want you to be able to see what Big Marker looks like is the biggest part of why I want to show you this video. So give me just
best tech practices. So like Adam was saying, it's very similar to Zoom in that it is a video event webinar software. So to ensure that you have your best experience, both if you're watching solo or if you're watching with a larger group, just some best practices. And I can send over this slide team to send to you to share out with people if needed. So first things first is our internet browser. Because we are a browser-based system, there's no app that we're downloading to view on Big Marker. What we will need to use your best browser, and that for us means Chrome. So if you have Google Chrome, that's what works best. That's what everybody at Big Marker uses internally. But also Safari and Firefox work just as fine. So either of those, they're going to work great. If you have Internet Explorer, that's not going to work too well. It's a bit antiquated in our system. So it probably won't work well on Internet Explorer. But again, Google Chrome, Safari, and Firefox are all fine and good. For internet speed, specifically Wi-Fi, our kind of minimum speeds are 10 megabits per second. You can actually do a really easy test if you just Google internet speed tests, which I've Googled many times as I work on the internet. And the first thing that comes up is an internet speed test. So you can run your speed test from your computer to kind of see where you're at. I have very quick, very fast internet because I need to for my job. Yours might be not as fast, but again, as long as these numbers are both above 10, you're kind of good to go there. So that's what I mean by internet speed. If you can also physically plug in your device, your laptop, your computer into your internet router, into your Wi-Fi router. That's also super helpful. But I also know that that's not super viable for everybody and not everyone can do that. So Wi-Fi works totally fine. I'm on Wi-Fi right now and you saw how fast my internet speeds were. So just again, 10 megabits per second upload and download speed is our kind of minimum for a good event experience. And then the last kind of tip is device bandwidth. What this means is that we want to make sure that that Wi-Fi that you have is being used solely for this event and not for anything else that you may not be looking at the time. So if you're on a computer, that means closing out all other tabs. As you can see, I only have this one tab open. That's what your event live day should look like. If you are on your phone, just ensuring that maybe all other apps are closed out. Same thing with the tablet, making sure there's no other apps kind of open and using up any of that Wi-Fi bandwidth as the event is happening. It's just to ensure that, again, you have the best event experience and that your bandwidth is not being taken up by email notifications or that YouTube video that you forgot you were playing in the background and switched over to this one, things like that. So again, just baseline best practices for our event. With that, I'm going to move into what we're going to be expecting on the day of. So after we register for our big marker event, you're going to see a page like this. It'll say you're registered. It's a confirmation page. You will then get an email saying that you have been confirmed, which is awesome. You're registered for the event. Closer to the event date, you will receive an email with your live event link. That email will link us to our agenda. So on our agenda is where all of our sessions will live. You'll be able to see all the sessions from both days, all in one spot. There, within the agenda, you'll see names of the sessions, descriptions. This is obviously a test agenda. We don't have a real agenda yet. So all of these are test sessions. You can see presenters if we have them, so on and so forth here. The main thing we're going to talk about today is our buttons. So on our right-hand side, we have two buttons, our Watch Now and our Live Now buttons. Watch Now just means it's a session that has happened previously and is now available on demand, which means we can click into here and it will open up a video player for us to be able to view that session after it already happened. For our live button, clicking this will move us into that live session. That means the session is happening currently right now. So I have our session open right here. This is what our session room will look like. So if you are viewing solo, this is what you will be viewing kind of on your laptop alone. If you're viewing as a big group, then this will probably be what is visible to the whole team up on the big projector or TV screen. To explain what everything is, we're going to start on our left-hand side. This is where we have our about session or about section. We'll see our session title as well as session description, which I don't have one for this test section, as well as any other information down here like a presenter, so on and so forth. We can also see a list of all the other sessions that are happening after this session. In our middle bit, this is our most important bit. This is where everything is happening. This is where you're going to be seeing the session. So right now you're seeing a video that we have playing. This is just a test video that I have. This is a very techie video. So you're going to be seeing some pretty crazy things happening there, but it's really just to showcase another really cool feature that we have later on. We're also going to be seeing on our right-hand side, Adam, who's in here as our test presenter. You'll be seeing him and hopefully hearing him talk when you're in here in a little bit as well to do a live demo. But he's our presenter over here on our right-hand side, and then all of our content that will be shared is on our left. So this big black box here is where you will be viewing the entire event from. Down here, we have our reaction emojis. These are going to be a little bit different, I think, on the day. I would think we're going to choose a few different ones. But either way, these are just so you can share your love. So if you really like it, if you want to celebrate what's being said, or if you just love what's going on, feel free to react. It makes the presenters very happy. Cheers them on as they're presenting through a long event day. So feel free to use those, but not necessary. I think the biggest thing we're going to talk about right now is our closed captions. So as our live event is happening, Adam, I'm going to
I just am going to say, if you click the CC button that's right here, that is how you open up the captions. So if you do want English captions, it's in there. There are a bunch of other languages as well, but my experience watching this video was that the captions didn't work great and were a little distracting. Maybe they will get that fixed for us, but I don't know. So I'm just going to skip that part because they spend a lot of time talking about that. So she's going to talk a little bit about this section and voting.
No longer there. On our right-hand side, where it's what we technically call our engagement panel, but it's just where we can engage with the rest of the event, we engage with other people. We have a couple different tabs in here. We have our chats, we have our Q&A, polls, and handouts. So chat is just that. It's a chat like our Zoom chat right now that I see you guys asking questions in. So with our Zoom chat, we have the ability to say anything, say, hello, I am here from Chicago, and chat in. You can see other people's chats as well as they chat in, and everybody will be able to talk to everybody else. If you want to reply to somebody, you totally can. You see, I got a reply just here in my thread. Adam replied to me saying, welcome. Thank you very much, Adam. I feel very welcome. So you can reply to people here. Again, it's very kind of social media-esque. So you can say, nice to meet you, or nice to see you. Yes, nice to see you too. If I could spell, bad spelling, but you get the idea. We also have private chats. So if you want to chat privately one-on-one with people, you certainly can. But we always like chatting publicly. It's just way more fun to talk to everybody all at once. But if there's something that you want to ask somebody about, you totally can privately. Our Q&A tab is for questions. So if you have a question, what color is the sky? Which is my favorite question to ask in testing. You can go ahead and ask that question within our Q&A tab. The presenters will be able to see those questions and respond to them. You can also upvote the question. So if you see a question that you really like and you want to make sure that the presenters see it, you can go ahead and click that little thumbs up button and upvote that question so that presenters say, oh, well, there's 30 upvotes on this one. Let's answer this one because everyone seems to really want that question answered. Something you can go ahead and do there. If your question is answered via text, if the presenter is typing out an answer to you, you'll be able to see that they're here. So you'll be able to see it both within this bigger view, but you can also see any questions that you have answered within this little answer tab as well. Polls. So for polls specifically, this is what we're using for our voting. So if you are not a voter, you will not get these voting polls, but we're going to test as if we all are voters just so we can see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and start a poll. So
Actually,
Caitlin,
before we start, can we actually bring people in?
Well, I mean, I have two. I was going to do one just to show.
Okay, yeah, let's do one show. Yeah, I was going to say this is a fun experience that we had the other night. So yeah, let's show us and then we'll come in and experience it together.
Absolutely. So just to show what it looks like, very simple. No place to skip, but we have all of our options for this vote. Disciples restructure took place in what year? Hopefully I get it right. I really don't know. I'm going to guess.
It says B.
B.
Thank you. And then all you have to do is click submit. Then you're able to see what you specifically voted for in our right-hand side within our polls tab. And you can see that there. So again, if you are not a voter, you will not be able to see this. If you are a voter, you will be able to see it. It's very simple. We're separating everybody out on the back end so that people see what they're supposed to see. And that's how that will work. I'm going to now look in chat because I think that's a good stopping place for me.
Okay, any questions about that part?
So just to make sure I understand this, so in the hub situation, we're seeing all this stuff on the big screen, but we're each holding our own cell phones or some kind of device. And assuming that we've registered as voting delegates, what we'll need to know in terms of voting is going to appear on our handheld device. And assuming that we're looking at it accurately, we can use that to vote, right?
That is the dream. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I would venture to say, Stacy, that if they're in the same room as the presentation is going on, that they need to make sure they're muted so that there's no feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, like if you're with the big screen, that should only be output. The microphone in the big room should not be on. But yeah, you should not, in the big room, no one's volume should be on. No microphones should be working.
I was planning on doing the same thing in a conference room with my computer hooked up to a TV. So
Uh-huh.
make sure the same thing, everyone is muted
Yep.
on their devices.
And if anybody needs to talk, they need to go to a separate room.
Okay.
Yeah. They have recommended that you like set up a separate room that has a device in it. I'm unclear about why they couldn't just use their phone in a separate room. Um, but that isn't what they said. I'll say that. So maybe there's a reason not to do that, but in my universe, that seems simpler than trying to teach people how to use a totally different device than they've ever used before. So I don't know why they're doing it that way. I am going to turn it over to Sherry to talk about Alex.
Okay. Have your churches already listed you as delegates? Do you have your delegates already? Okay. So, uh, and Joy, you're familiar with Alex? You did your report. Okay, when you go to your church's Alex account and you click on your the name of your church, and then you scroll down before it gets to showing you all of the years of Alex reports that your church has gone in, there's a place right there to add your delegates. And you just add their name and email address. Um, so I think you can, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're going on your church's Alex page and clicking on your church's name, you should be able to find it. Anyone who has trouble, reach out to me because I can walk you through it or I can add your delegates. So either way can work. And spread that to other churches. I'm thinking particularly, if the ones that come to the hub, if there are other churches that need that you're talking to regularly, Bruce, um, they might need a little help getting their delegates listed. Now they're talking about a deadline being, you know, so much in advance. If we do it a couple of days before, so by the 8th, they can still make it happen. So it's not too late. But if there's any hesitation at all, reach out to me because I can help you do that. I have the regional Alex dashboard on my computer and I can walk you through it.
All right, everybody. Unless there's more questions, we are done.